There already are a few Quest 3 versus Pico 4 comparisons on YouTube, but some of the questions I had when I was trying to decide between them were left unanswered. So here are my thoughts on how these headsets compare. Before I get to my subjective opinions and experiences, here are some slightly more objective facts. The Quest 3 is more expensive, but if you're in North America, it's much easier to get hold of. The Pico was never released in North America, so you'll have to import it or find a used one. I found one in mint condition for less than $200. The Quest 3 has more native games and apps, as well as a more powerful chip to run them. The Quest 3 boots up faster than the Pico 4, and the OS feels a bit more snappy. The Quest 3 has stereo pass-through, whereas the Pico 4 has mono. The image quality of the pass-through is a bit better on the Quest 3. In real life, both look quite grainy and low in detail, but the Quest 3 looks a bit nicer most of the time. However, it can get a bit more warpy than the Pico, and sometimes it has really serious issues, which I'll get to in a minute. Both have pancake lenses, but the Quest 3's lenses are significantly better than the Pico 4's. It was too difficult for me to capture it on camera, but the Quest 3's lenses have literal edge-to-edge clarity, whereas the Pico 4's have a sweet spot, with edges being quite blurred. But it's still a massive leap forward from the Quest 2. The Quest 3's lenses have less glare. There is a bit more glare on the Pico. I thought that green circle was a bit of dust on the lens, but it's visible through the other lens too, so it's not that. I can't see it at all with my own eyes though. And again, things look a lot better in real life than I can show by holding an action camera up to the lens. The Pico 4 has better binocular overlap. When I first got the Quest 3, it felt weird being able to see the black rings over the inner part of the view, but I got used to it very quickly, and now I don't notice it. Unfortunately, it means that 3D content doesn't look as three-dimensional as on the Pico 4, at least for me. When I watch a 3D film on the Pico and then switch to the same film on the Quest 3, it almost looks 2D. The Quest 3 has the best lenses of any headset I've ever used, and so watching films on the Quest 3 is a better experience, at least visually. I'll explain why it's still worse for me in a minute. The Pico 4 is much more comfortable out of the box. The weight is balanced between the front and back of the head. The Quest 3 just comes with a fabric strap, and it's not nearly as comfortable. All the weight is in the front, and that means head, neck, and face discomfort sets in pretty quickly. To balance it and take the pressure off the face, you'll need to buy a battery head strap. The problem is that now the whole thing weighs over a kilogram and is twice the weight of the Pico 4, and that leads us into my subjective experiences. I found having 1050 grams on my head to be too uncomfortable. Compared to the Pico 4, the Quest 3 felt like a really big step backwards in comfort. I just can't enjoy watching a film for long because I feel all this weight pressing my head down into my spine. The stock pad and top strap on the Pico were fine, but I didn't love them. So I made a couple of changes and now it's even more comfortable. My favourite way to use the Pico is without the facial interface. This gives the widest field of view and the most comfort for me. It just floats in front of my eyes like a Quest Pro, but a lot more comfortable. When it comes to reliability, in my experience, the Quest 3 has a lot more bugs than the Pico 4. Almost every time I use it, something doesn't work properly. Sometimes the app icons don't appear. Sometimes the pass-through goes really weird. It drops to a really low frame rate and some kind of rip in the fabric of space-time opens up. When watching films stored on the internal storage, sometimes the audio lags behind the video and I have to restart the headset to fix it. Other times when I'm trying to chat with people in big screen, my microphone volume is so low that no one can make out what I'm saying. Even on a good day, the mic quality isn't that great. The mic on the Pico 4 sounds a lot better. Another problem is that sometimes when I try to talk to people in VR with my AirPods connected, everyone's voice is in slow motion, like everyone's voice is in slow motion. So yeah, I've had a lot of bugs with the Quest 3, and all of them have been in firmware V65. The Pico 4 has been so much more reliable for me. I've never had any of those problems. It just pretty much works. I use the standard boundary most of the time, and on the Pico 4 it's a lot bigger. On the Quest 3 the circle is quite small, so I hit the sides more often when I move around. It's a small gripe, but these little things can add up. I find the audio to be better on the Quest 3, and the colours look nicer to me too. For me, the battery life has been better on the Pico 4. In my opinion, neither headset is superior to the other. Each has its strengths and weaknesses. For me, it has been kind of frustrating because the two things I value most in a headset are on two different devices. I love the lenses on the Quest 3. I find them to be so much better than the Pico, and given that I mainly use VR for watching films, I get a much nicer visual experience in the Quest 3. The image is always sharp and clear without having to position my eyes to the ideal spot. And that's why I tried so hard to make the Quest 3 work for me. But the comfort and reliability just ruin it. Without a battery head strap, I find it unusable for longer than 5 or 10 minutes. And with the battery head strap, there's just too much weight on my head, and it's all I can think about. It's so uncomfortable, I just can't wait to get it off. I'm sad that Meta didn't really do much to improve the comfort this time over the Quest 2. The Pico, on the other hand, falls behind in visual clarity, but it's still a huge improvement over the Quest 2 I had before. But I do have to live with more glare, and I have to fiddle with it a bit more to get my eyes in the ideal position to get the best image. The comfort, though, is outstanding. I can wear it for 3 hours and feel completely comfortable. It's also much more reliable, at least for me. And so, as hard as I tried to live with the Quest 3 and enjoy those stunning lenses, in the end I went back to the Pico 4, because all things considered, it's just been a much better experience for me. Now I just have to wait patiently and hope that Meta makes comfort a priority for the Quest 4. Thanks for tuning in. See you next time.